Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, it's my host companion, Sejohn Sarawik. And Sejohn, before we go too deep into this episode, do you want to guess what the title of this episode is?
Goodbye, Robert Redford, because that's all I've been feeling this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, Silver Lining, he died before he had to see Sundance moved somewhere else. That's how I'm Silver Lining.
There's like this weird part of me that's just like, man, it was a broken heart. No, he was quite old, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm real bummed because I just loved a lot of the work that guy did. You know, it wasn't always like I wasn't like a super fan. Like there are some people that watch like Jeremiah Johnson like more than once, and I don't know how you do that.
What's the one where he's the Wally something? He's the stunt pilot. Why can I not think? I love that movie.
I don't even know, man. Like I said, I was not like a super fan, but I was always happy when he showed up, and whenever I found that he was doing more than just acting in a movie, like directing or producing at least, like I was always on board because like he had such an interesting choice in the like projects he took part in. You know, like I mean, The Sting is classic. I think that like I could never.
It's fantastic. And yeah, I think.
But I also liked the weird. But I also really liked like the weird spy one he did with Brad Pitt about 15 years ago. What was that one called?
Oh my God, Spy Game.
Like, Brad
Just
Pitt
Spy
being
Game.
stuck behind enemy lines.
Spy Game.
Spy Game. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like a phenomenal little piece that I don't think got enough credit at its time because it was fantastic.
Well, that is not the title of this episode, though. Rest in peace, Robert Redford. However, the passing of Robert Redford. Like, joy of joys, I think it solved our issue of what are we going to record our next time capsule on, Dad? Because I know the answer now, and I'm sure you know the answer, too.
I do.
Right? Did I sneak it in
I'm
there?
Excited. Yeah.
And it will make sense with one of the very special episodes we're doing later. It all weirdly works out for us. But no, Sejohn.
Short Circuit 2.
I guess I snuck it a little too well past you, Sejohn. No, this episode is called Devon Bought a Katana. And do you know why this episode is called Devon Bought a Katana?
Oh no, I fear the answer, but
it's because Devon Decker bought a fucking katana. I'm in the process right now of seeing if I can register it as an emotional support katana, so I can safely take it with me anywhere.
I can allow you to have a katana. What I cannot allow is if I find out that you are like suddenly wearing fedoras and miladying people in the mall and shit. Like I will put an end to you.
No. I bought a katana for a couple of reasons. One, all the best games I've played this year were ninja games, and I love ninja games. And as a kid, I loved my like little fake katanas. Remember those white hollow plastic katanas where the color came from the wrap on the bottom and the sheath? Like, I loved those. I had so many of those. I pretended to be, even though Leonardo is my least favorite Ninja Turtle. Controversial opinion, I know. I've always liked the katana as a weapon. And, you know, after, like, Shinobi, currently my still Game of the Year contender. I have to admit it every time. I don't have to admit it every time. But every time I bring up Shinobi, I like to let people know that it's the game I loved the most in 2025. I feel like that's only fair. Like, understand that you're about to get a very biased opinion from me. And it's like, I should own a katana. I bought Size earlier this year, and I should complete the set of Ninja Turtle weapons. So Devon bought a katana. And in there, Sejohn, you said the magic word, which is Demal. And buying this katana made me sad for the sword store in the mall. Because it doesn't exist anymore. There are no more sword stores in the malls. There's just Amazon. I bought this katana on Amazon. And it was less than $100. And I know I was complaining last week about like money and how that, but this one I earned this katana. Because I accidentally, you know, I had to get some fees refunded, and the fees were double what the katana cost me. I had to talk to human beings to fix an issue that had happened. But now Devon has a katana.
Earned a sword.
I earned this sword. So this whole episode in my left hand is going to be my katana. Because you don't buy a katana and talk about it on your podcast if you're not going to do at least one episode where you're holding it's sheathed. It's not unsheathed. I'm practicing responsibility. And really what it is I passed the test, right? Because the very first test of katana ownership, right? Sejohn's right. You don't want to become the fedora-wearing guy calling everyone milady. You don't want to be that person. Which is why
there are two different types of people. There are three different types of people that will buy swords. There's obviously like sword collectors and people that are actually like deeply into it. And I don't mean to disparage people of that nature, but we knew a group of people. We were very close, in particular, with a group of people that would just buy knives and swords to own sharp things, right?
Yes.
There's like that brand person. And then there is a fair number of people out there that are buying katanas and swords right now that are. It's not a small piece of the market that are. Nerds, without getting too much deeper into it.
Here's the problem with nerds taking back the term nerds. There's no disparaging way to refer to them except for the tone that you just used when you said it.
Yeah. I mean, it is a specific subset of nerds that can often be referred to as neckbeard. Like it's in that vein of nerd. But
oh man, yeah. I mean, I get where you're coming from with that. No, I mean, like it was something that I've wanted, and it looks nice in the studio to have it, and really it is. Like I platinumed the Ninja Gaiden Ragebound on PS5. I'm probably going to get the PS4 Platinum because it's not that difficult a game to platinum now that I know where all this stuff is. I'm still toying with platinuming Shinobi, but S rank on all levels does not seem fun to me. Especially when it's a lot
Hey man, you don't have to tell me about what it's like to call it on a game, because we could do this right now because it's not that big of a thing. But click on that image I sent you.
The spoiler.
You will see where I bowed out. These are all of the unique moons that I could find personally on my own with no help in Mario Odyssey.
I think that means that you win our Mario Odyssey competition. I cannot let this awaken something inside of me. The fact that you now have 813 moons. Because I think I stopped at like 700.
Yeah, the only ones that I really didn't get were any of the ones that really require you to like push yourself, like 100 jump ropes, 100 volleyballs. I don't do the Koopa free running ones because they're not fun for me. The only other ones that I had kind of not gotten is there's a couple of special ones that for not doing that stuff you don't get, right? But the one that really was annoying me was the art one, because I was like, I've done all of the like hidden art ones, and then I figured out that there's a couple of hidden art ones that don't show up till after you complete like Dark Side of the Moon and shit.
They're blocked.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, so with me not pushing myself, me deciding this is where I'm going to call it for this time around on Mario Odyssey, is 813 moons. And as far as the coin count stuff goes, I got most of the unique outfits for coins, but was able to get 9999 again. But this time, instead of getting skeleton like I did last time, I got the 8-bit Mario cap, and that's pretty fun. It's pretty goofy ass look.
I mean, you also showed it beautiful. They'll be in supplemental material if you people want to see Sejohn's stoppage point for Super Mario Odyssey and him rocking the 8-bit cap in a beautiful photo. Like the composition is just wonderful, Sejohn. I just want you to know that. Yeah. That's good. I'm it's weird that you've been doing that as I do not want to play Bonanza. But here is the thing. If I declare it on the show, there's like a 50% chance that I'll actually make sure it happens. I am going to finish Bonanza this week. I don't want to, but I think that if anytime I'm like, I don't know what to do, I dedicate to playing Bonanza and just complete the actual goals. Don't get caught up in the everything else about it. I should be able to finish that game. And I want to, because I sang a song yesterday lamenting how much I kind of hate the Nintendo Switch too. And part of that is that I won't allow myself to play any other games until I've completed Bonanza. A self-imposed challenge, I understand. But let's lift the imposition. Let's do this, and maybe I can find something else that I enjoy. And it's not that I didn't enjoy Bonanza, it's that I got bored of it. I got to the level that you're talking about with Mario Odyssey. I just got there so much earlier with Bonanza. And I'm not sure why.
Like, let's not forget, like, the first time around, like, we had to challenge each other in order to even hit 700 moons in Mario Odyssey, right? Like, it was something that we worked towards. This was, I don't know where this came from. I don't know, honestly. I really don't know where this came from, where I just dove headfirst into this game. But with Donkey Kong, just I don't want, like, I'm not asking you to spoil the game for anybody, but is it like Mario Odyssey where you can roll credits multiple times? And have you at least rolled credits once?
I have not rolled credits once. That's what I'm talking about, is that I got bored before the credits roll. Like, the 900th sublayer was so unengaging. Like, it's spoilers for Bonanza, slight spoilers for Bonanza. I'll keep, like, names and species out of it. And also, by some of the things I've heard, this is a conjecture spoiler. Things are about to go off once I leave here, because there's a big reveal that I have not yet gotten to, and I feel like that big reveal might be what pushes people through to the end of the game. And I was just like, I'm bored by this level where I have to defeat an enemy, and then, but you didn't truly defeat the enemy. Now we need to go and you need to get the bananas, the rampage mode for this area. All right, now that you have it, you need to go defeat that enemy, because now you can actually do it. Oh no, it escaped. We thought it was dead, but it escaped. You have to go after it. I go after it. I beat it again. Oh shit, it escaped again. Like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done. Man. And now, like, I've gotten to the third place, and it only escapes 3 times, right? Breaking the Nintendo rule of 3s for 4 separate fights with it. Though I guess only 3 of them are in the crazy form that you gain in sub-level 900. But it just kind of, like, this is not fun. This was very much padding, is what this felt like. And that made me a little bummed. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to share that story here. Also, I guess while we're talking games up top, and we might touch on it again, Silksong is a game that I've still been playing, and that game continues to amaze and astound me. Like, that's awesome, man. I am really happy. I know that, again, Shinobi, current Game of the Year contender, I said that it starts out with really great movement tech. Silksong, your second upgrade, is an incredible run move that kind of allows Hornet to, like, parkour through levels and things. And that really is when the game started to feel good. And in terms of the exploration, none of it has felt useless up to this point. And I think part of that is, like, it's true Metroidvania. Because there's an area called, like, the Sinner's Stairs in Silksong. Potential spoilers for Silksong. Or there might be the Sinner's Steps. And basically, where the whole point of the game is to get to this cathedral, or at least the whole point of part 1 of the game, because I still have not gotten through part 1. I got to the cathedral door, but then I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to wrap up and make sure I've been everywhere, which is how I found the Sinner's Steps. And the Sinner's Steps are, like, the parallel. They run perpendicular. Perpendicular means across, right? It runs parallel to where the cathedral is. And it seems like at a time, this is what the Land of Farloom's sort of like pilgrim devotion-y thing was to do, was to climb the steps of the sinners, and then you reach absolution at the top. And then, you know, another religion came in, they built a cathedral, blah, 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 blah. I don't need to talk about the socio-religious overcries going on in Silksong, especially because I only have less than a quarter of the picture, it feels like. But that area I specifically got to, and I thought I cleared it out, but then I found an area that I could not access until it seems like I need a double jump, right? Like I need a double jump ability to get high enough to wall cling and everything. And that is the type of, like, dead-end roadblock in a Metroidvania that inspires you to keep looking for things. As opposed to my complaints for Hollow Knight, where, like, oh, I need to find progress. Oh, I found this beehive. Let's clear out the beehive. You clear out the beehive, you don't get something that gives you, Like, you finish it. You finish the beehive when you finish the beehive. It's not like, oh, there's a place I can't reach until I get the double jump, so I have to go find the double jump. You just complete it, and you get like a charm or a trinket for it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't as engaging as that was nothing. Like, I kind of feel like I wasted my time. It's not, oh, I have to come back here later once I have the right tools. I just finished it.
Well, of course not, because like we've talked about this before, so we don't have to harp on it. But that was DLC for that game, right?
Yes.
So like it couldn't be there couldn't be something that you could have gained from there that could have helped out in the rest of the game, right? Because it didn't exist for some people. Right. But like. Yeah. So like by the very nature of it being DLC, it kind of loses kind of that oomph.
Yeah. And that's the thing. But this game, I mean, they took 8 years to build it. And by all accounts, Team Cherry has said, we just kept developing because we were having so much fun developing it. So I don't think anything was held back for DLC. I don't think they released this in some sort of like semi-complete form with the intention of here comes the DLC, the way that Hollow Knight was. Like, we have enough game here, but we'll add the DLC later. And, like, that's not the case. Like, this feels like a complete game. And honestly, when I told Dale, like, I'm still not done with it, and she's like, really? Because it feels like you've completed the game with the amount of things that you've done. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, like, what else is coming. I beat an anthill, right? And that's like an analog to the hornet thing. I mean, the bees hive of it all. And that anthill, at the end of it, like, unlocked a pathway back to an area I'd been before. And when I did it, I came across a big gross bug, and I tried to fight it, and instead, he pulled a Bloodborne on me. And he put me in a cage, and he brought me to a prison, which was a whole new area of the map that I was not aware of. And it did that really fun thing that, like, Metroidvanias are able to do, right? Good Metroidvanias do it in a way that feels engaging with the game. It took away all of my stuff. Hornet was stripped down to nothing. I did not have the needle. I had to use like karate moves, and I had to sneak around through the jail in order to reclaim my things.
Nice.
And at the end of that, like, I escaped that jail. There are still 4 doors I can't open because I don't have the proper key. There's a whole outdoor area where I'll freeze to death if I'm out there too long. So I'm hoping that there's some item I can get that will warm me up so I can fully explore that area. But where I exited, there's a fast travel point, and it's a whole new biome. But again, it's too cold, and everything's like 1 jump height too high. So I know I will be going back to that. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
Nice, so it's been enjoyable. Like, I was surprised that Silksong has, like, stayed with me the way it has. But then also thinking about it, it's the sequel. Hollow Knight was really the proof of concept, and Silksong becomes the one that really proves what they're able to do. So.
Yeah, and Hollow Knight, I think, you talked about the way that when it first came out, it felt like it was just like a rush to get the game out. I think it was, right? Because Hollow Knight was also crowdfunded, wasn't it?
On that one, I do not know, but it sounds like it would have been. Let me
at the very least, it was crowd supported, right? Yes. Like it was something that the developers were very open about what was coming. People had gotten their hands on demos at like PAX and things like that. So Hollow Knight was in this position where they hadn't yet proved to themselves to the audience. So saying to people, we're actually going to take 3 more years on this thing was probably going to be the death knell for Hollow Knight, right? So they did put out what they had at that moment. They polished it up more than enough to put out a game that still pleased everybody, then added stuff later. But I think that they had to kind of do that because they didn't have a game like Hollow Knight already out there to show people what they were capable of, right? This time around, like they just took their time with it, and they were just like, we've got you know what we are going to do, you know what we can do, and we think we're going to do better than that. And like, that's crazy, but by all accounts it sounds like they have. And I adore this, like, this indie story. I kind of want like an indie game, the movie 3. I think there was a 2, but like I want to hear about like Silksong and the journey and that game took to become what it is, you know.
I mean, it would certainly make me happy if we got a story, because all of the conjecture out there from other indie studios, and the way that like people are mad at Silksong. People are mad at Silksong for shadow dropping, for only charging $20 for all of the content, like other indie developers. But then the big one, and the one that does kind of make me go, yeah, that's certainly something that I can understand some of the anger at, right? Because we're the Say Report, right? Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarawik are the Say Report. And then we have Will, he's our third man, right? I'll admit that. But you know, Zach Dyer has helped us many times with like intros, or he's joined us for little episodes and things like that. Dale and your brother, they were Say Report Jr. They've been contributors to the program, and Dale has done most of the latter day very special episode artwork. Like she puts together unique artwork for all those very special episodes. But like I will give credit to all of those people, right? Even Jeff Hibbert, right? He used to be on our friggin' Oscar episodes, and we gave a damn about the Oscars, right? Right? Remember those
lost
days?
Interest in the Oscars, and I think Jeff was just kind of lost in the divorce on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, it's a thing, right? But yeah, so like we've contributed to people, and I'll give it freaking Mark Daniels, right? He helped me with the first time that I recorded the Cheers theme song and released it in an episode. And he contributed to the Rate and Review, our 23rd episode. We're like, yeah, every 23rd episode we'll try to get people to go on Apple and give us a rating and review us 5 stars. We dropped that one. One of the happier things, right? Because I'm happy that we just do what we do, Sejohn. But these are all people that have gone into the building of the Say Report, right? Undeniable. My mother, when she contributed so that I could play the terrible Double Dragon DLC for River City Girls 2, right? Like, there are people, even my father, right? Even though he's unwilling, a lot of the times the stuff he says winds up being spoken into this microphone. I know the people who have helped make the Say Report happen. Right? Undeniable. Oh, Will's sister Liz, too, right? Because she did their outro over at Say Report Jr. to really just tie together the whole sibling like feel of that project, right? These are the people. And if there's anyone that I've forgotten, please remind me. You know what? Even Claude and Habguy, who are listeners, man, right? But like,
I forget how fucking funny we are, man.
Yeah, right? It's nice to... well, I mean, we'll get to where my mind is at in a second. But all of these people, I will list off all the people. I would never just say, you know, it's just the two of us at the Say Report, right? And a lot of that comes from the fact that many times in my life, I have been a contributor to a project and then, like, ultimately not received credit for that project, or worse, been fired, and then because I was fired... then they're like, well, we don't need to give him any credit for anything that he did, right? These are assholes that do that, by the way. I'm not trying to say that, like, that's the proper way to act. I wrote the movie Slither. I was one of the screenwriters of Slither. The fact that I eventually just became an executive producer, despite being at all of those writing sessions, writing large swaths of that film, like, that's a real fuck you to me. Right? The fact that the Writers Guild of America considers me a writer on that, but then I didn't get credit, you know, I'm just being honest about things that have happened in my life. So when Team Cherry says they're just 3 developers who put together Silksong and do not mention or give any credit to the fact that they had numerous contractors that they were able to hire to do things like the music, the numerous voice actors that they hired to play different roles, like artists who created assets for them. Like, yes, you are 3 developers who came up with the story and, like, this game. This game is your baby. You are the directors of this game. But then to act like it was just the 3 of you who put the game together, that's disingenuous. And I just that part bothers me a little bit. So yes, I'd love an Indie Game 3 to talk about that aspect of it.
It's the tortured artist aspect of indie development that is unfortunately like kind of hand in hand with this kind of work in the world, you know, because the idea that you're sacrificing yourself for your art is like is kind of the necessary piece to the whole thing, right? You can't really call yourself an indie developer if you've got $1 billion to fall back on, right?
Right.
So like this idea that you are taking the road less traveled is ingrained in that market, right? In that side of the market. And so like to get to this point, and that's just what, that's been the mantra for as long as you've been developing. Like you got to start opening your eyes and recognizing who else has been there and been involved, like it is disingenuous is the exact right word, Dev, because it's like you gotta consider the fact that you had the privilege to do this and have it succeed because of A, B, and C, right? Like, yes, some people just get lucky, I guess, but like, if that's the case, then talk about that. like make it clear that this is not something everybody can do. Because I think that's where it gets back to the other indie developers that are kind of feeling a little weird about this right now. Is like, it sucks to like watch them call out one of their own and for being successful. It feels very much like, well, why you, not me, right? But it's not, right? Like there is an honest part of it there that like you guys have to make it clear that like what you guys did is not the norm and cannot set a precedent for the rest of us. You just can't do that. And I think that at least at our level, I feel like we recognize that. Maybe there are people out there where they're just like, yeah, this is why every other game sucks, and like, and I'm gonna hate on every other game for the next 10 years until the next Silk Song comes out. It's like that, fuck that, right? Like, this is cool, and it's unique that this thing happened, and I love that it happened, and it brings a lot of attention to the industry and to that sector of the industry that's really cool. But like, I am not going to sit here and pretend that every indie game should be $20 or less. That's ridiculous. No. There are some games that just get some fucking work put into them, and they earn those $30, $40 price tags.
Yeah. It's so strange. And you're right. But the thing is that you'd hope that a rising tide raises all ships, right? Like, this game, right? Silk Song should mean all of the games coming forward are going to be Metroidvanias, right? It's not going to happen, saying, but yeah.
The funny thing about that saying is that if your ship is not in ship shape, then it'll fucking sink in a rising tide.
Yeah. If you have not been taking care of your ship, if it's got holes in it, and it's true. It's one of those things. And that, that came out disparaging for me, but it's also a fact, right? It raises the ships that are able to take advantage of the influx of water.
Exactly. Right. And like, that's the thing that people don't think about with that kind of stuff. And you have, so you have to be careful, right? Because you have to understand that when you are raising the bar, you are suddenly, there are going to be people that aren't going to be able to meet it any longer.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a real fear. That fear that like my indie game, which is also a Metroidvania, it's not going to look as good as Silk Song. And I was thinking $30 for everything that I've put into it, right? For everything you're going to get from this game. But then if someone's not going to buy it because, Silk Song was $20, like, that can hurt me. And we see that a lot. We've seen that so much in film and cinema. The fact that there are no truly independent voices anymore because they were just consumed by the indie, right? The slick, marketable term for films made by established people, right? Like, I don't know if there'd be room for a Kevin Smith in the modern cinema landscape. And I don't mean Kevin Smith now. I mean Kevin Smith in 1994.
Right. Like, and like, as somebody that goes to a very particular festival every year that celebrates like those kinds of artists, even there, it's a really contentious point that like there's a lot more movies nowadays that are not that. There are still those movies that are made on $3,000 in a prayer, like, and that's like that's gold when you find it, but it's rare. It's not the norm, and even at the Sundance Festival nowadays.
Yeah, which it's so.
I don't want to. I don't want to shit on Sundance.
No. Especially as we're trying. We had that nice moment for Robert Redford at the beginning of this. Like but it's just a fact of the matter, man. Like it is just the fact that very rarely. I remember going to the Rhode Island International Film Festival like 20 years ago, right? conservatively, it has been 20 years since I've attended an RIFF, God, Reef, film festival. But even then, 20 years ago, right? Like, that's when I met John Ratzenberger. And that's because John Ratzenberger was there presenting his independent film. But, like, he's John Ratzenberger. So
I just, like, subconsciously, I just, like, saluted when you said his name.
And that's understandable. I mean, meeting him was one of the coolest things, because it wasn't one of those, like, wait in line or anything. It was the opening night party. I had 2 films that I had been involved with that had been accepted into the festival. I felt pretty good about that, I'll admit it. And we're celebrating, we're walking around, and I'm like, man, like this line to like get into the theater, it's moving slow. And it's not like it was line, it was like kind of like a processional. And then John Rassenberger turns around and he goes, I'm sorry, everybody wants a piece of me. And I'm like, oh no, I understand. I get it. I'm the idiot who got in line behind you. Right? And expected smooth sailing ahead. I thought it'd be like following an ambulance through rush hour traffic. Nope. It was following a wide load vehicle, which is not to be disparaging to him. It was just like, I had not even considered it. And then afterwards, like, we ended up sitting there and we had like a lovely conversation. But that's how it happened, was he thought he would be able to get into the theater and all of that like hobnobbery would happen afterwards. But no, everybody wanted the piece of him getting into
because
the
people
theater.
Are fucking animals.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
There's supposed to be a society. God bless you. But yeah, so it's an interesting thing. But I do enjoy that I'm enjoying Silk's song. And heck, I saw an any percent clear is down to like an hour and 9 minutes. Like, there's some beauty to this game that, like, I'm not there yet, and I'm enjoying the exploration still. I'm enjoying the stupid little tasks I'm picking up. And as soon as that changes, I will let everybody know. But it's a worthwhile $20 to spend. Now, there is the question of the difficulty, because everybody's talking about how hard the game is. Specifically, one of the bosses, Morwing, that the
Here
first...
we go.
What? I'm not trying to say anything.
No, it's fine, Devon. No, go ahead. I think everybody knows what's coming, but like, go ahead.
Well, I haven't come up across anything. And that Morwing fight, it has been like patched to be easier, but I beat that before that patch happened. There we go. That's what we were expecting. Yeah, I'm trying. I can't ignore it. He called me out. I'm not going to call it. I beat the thing before it got easier. But all that, like all these people talking about, like it's so hard, and I'm like, I have never come up against anything in Silksong right now that I would not blame on my own error. Like, if I miss a jump or something, I feel like it's on me. The bosses, it always feels like, oh, that was my fault. I got a little too aggressive at that moment because I knew I was near the end.
Yeah, aggravation, tactics in games are really tricky but really popular nowadays. You know, there's Dark Souls and stuff like that, but the entirety of Meat Boy is based on aggravation tactics. Right. And like making the player feel like, I know what I did wrong, let me get right in there and fix it, right? And so like Meat Boy, you get that wonderful game loop of just like insta restart and like you know what you did wrong and you can. But like you're saying, you constantly feel like I made the mistake, I can correct it. If the game is doing something to you, you feel like you don't have that control, and that sucks. If you're just like, this game is fucking me right now, like so like I've got nothing I can do here except bang my head against the wall until I get lucky, like that sucks. But if you feel like, oh no, I know what I did wrong, like that feels really good.
Yeah, that's a good game loop. That's a satisfying game loop. And I will say this, I will preach it again because it is my philosophy of gaming. Mega Man logic. I think if a lot of people were employing Mega Man logic in Silksong, they wouldn't be having those issues. And what Mega Man logic is that you don't need to kill everything on the screen. You just need to get to the next screen. And I think it's such a part of the design philosophy of both Hollow Knight and Silksong that's why there are so many chambers you come across where you can't move past this until you defeat every enemy that we throw at you, like those tiny little gauntlet sections. Like
right, you got to consider then all those other chambers where they didn't do this.
Yeah,
maybe you don't. Yeah,
maybe you don't.
Well,
it's confirmation.
Gamers have a real problem with this, though, man. Like, this is the same shit that you heard about when the Resident Evil remake started getting really popular, and the idea that like the game was getting harder if you were killing everybody because it was taking into account like your success rate on that, and then on top of that, like wasting stuff and not having enough ammo later, not having enough healing items because you've been wasting all of your time trying to kill things, when like a big tactic in the Resident Evil games is to just duck, dive, and dodge. Like, just get the fuck out of the way and run past this thing. Come back for it later when you've got more ammunition, or come back for it later when it's a real threat, right? Like, that is part of those games, but when gamers get their hands on Resident Evil 2 specifically, I remember there being a lot of people that were just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then you'd watch their streams and it's like, well, brother, you're playing it like it's Gears of War, and it ain't, man.
Yeah, there's a survival aspect to survival horror, and that means get through the situation. It doesn't mean be victorious over the situation. It means survive. Yeah, and that's it. And it's interesting that, like, Mega Man logic, I attribute it to the Mega Man games, where, like, a lot of the time it's like, man, if I don't focus on killing everything and I just get to the next screen, I won't have to have dealt with all that stuff that was on that screen. And then to think that, like, Resident Evil is also Capcom. So, like, taking that idea, I truly believe that it was part of their design philosophy. And it's one of the reasons why the bosses have doors that lock you into those fights. Because at this point, you have to fight this boss. Like, there's no avoiding this. You've reached the end. So that's another thing. And that is, for a lot of people who have been playing video games for most of their lives, telling them, you don't need to defeat everything is a huge thing for them to get over. Because that's everything else is like, you can kill everything. And you should kill everything.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's, And the first time that I'm like, well, I'm just going to run back to where I died so I can recollect my rosary beads. And I did that. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that was good. But then I came upon one of those locked rooms where the only way to progress was to beat everything. I'm like, oh, man, that is confirmation that, like, once you get, like, good enough at a room or you've explored the room and you've found everything, we don't expect you to kill everything in that room again. There's no reward for it. That's the other thing. Like, everybody complains about the rosary system and how, like, it's too high. Stuff costs too high. Because rosary beads, since you're in this faith-based, like, community, that's what the currency is old rosary beads. And like the souls in Dark Souls, when you lose, you have to reclaim them. But so many enemies do not give you rosary beads. And as soon as that happens, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to kill another one of those. And honestly, I think the developers saw that too. Because the bestiary only completes for enemies once you've killed X amount of them. So there's a whole task to fill up the bestiary, but then I haven't completed it yet. I'm still missing like 11 creatures that I have not killed yet. But I feel like once that's done, that's going to evolve into, now you need to complete the entries on all of these as a secondary task.
Ooh, I'm gonna go see if I got all the captures in Mario Odyssey.
Right? That's the type of stuff.
Yeah, let me go back and look at that. Okay, cool. Sorry. No, it's cool. We've been dancing around something for a little bit, Dev, but I want to let you finish up on Silk Song.
No, I'm good on it. Before we go into the next thing, because I don't know what it's going to be, I picked up a Celsius energy drink for this episode, specifically the Astro Vibe Sparkling Blue Raz edition, which, if you remember, was the one that was accidentally alcoholic. Do you remember when that happened? That they put a bunch of... Yeah, so apparently the canning factory where Celsius is made, there was an issue, and alcoholic seltzer got put into these cans and then shipped off as it. Which, like, that is terrifying, right? Like, that right there is one of those moments...
Anymore, right?
What?
that canning facility can't exist anymore, right?
I would certainly hope so. I would certainly hope not. But the scarier thing to me is that alcoholic seltzer has just become so ubiquitous, so accepted, that like that sort of issue can happen, right? I don't know if it ever happened where beer wound up in a Coca-Cola can, but like if it ever had,
cocaine did.
What?
Cocaine did one time, but
that was part of the recipe. I'm talking like an accidental put into the wrong can, sold as the wrong item, and that just makes me so sad because, you know, alcoholics, when they get into the program, a lot of it is replacing one addiction for healthier addictions like exercise, or, you know, the caffeine becomes a big one, which is, I'm not sure. Yeah, religion is another part of it. I mean, the 12 steps, it's all about having a higher power. So like, I could see if you're a caffeine person, and you're drinking seltzer, and you buy a Celsius, and then it's fucking alcoholic, like, fuck, that would suck. Like, I just think about that situation, and that upsets me. For, like, hypothetical person out there in the world, I don't know if that even happened. But, you know, and a lot of this is...
But, I mean, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can't be doing that. You can't be spiking people's fucking drinks. Like, that's that way lies madness.
So I am going to open this up while you have the floor to what we've been dancing around, Sejohn.
Oh, yeah. We've mentioned a lot of stuff today that has made me want to mention Borderlands. I've been playing, you know, a ton more of it.
I thought we were going to go sad.
No.
Good.
And but just, you know, I'm running into a lot of some of that stuff there. The big one that you were mentioning was the idea that with Bonanza, Donkey Kong, like the idea that the quest never ends. Running into that a lot with some of the side quests with Borderlands right now, where like they keep just kind of fucking going, and that's the, you know, like, so just there's been some things, and especially because all of the bullshit going on with the performance issues and things like that, and the restart your PS5's nonsense. I have hit a couple of glitches here or there that have been pretty fucking goofy. Did you see the video I sent you on PS5 yesterday?
No, I missed that. If it was after we were trying to play together earlier, like that I have had a bit of an epiphany in my life, and I'm pretty happy about it. We'll share that after. Because there is something sad that we do need to talk about. It's not sad, kind of just bone chilling. It's just I think the actual way to describe it, but we'll get to it. Yeah. No, I did not see that video, but I have experienced, right, the 2 times that I played for like a long time Borderlands 4, when I went to go into my menu, it was just blank. Like, and I couldn't do anything. Like, getting stuck in the menu.
Yeah, like, that sucks. Yeah, I was fighting a Thresher boss in one of the side quests, and they just stopped coming out of the ground.
Oh.
Like, I was still in the boss fight, and it just stopped coming up. I ran around for 5 minutes and it never popped back up again, so I had to like restart the fight. That was a bit of a bitch.
That happened while we were playing too. That bounty, the Four Eyes guy that we ended up beating ultimately. The first time I found him, I shot him in the head and he despawned. And like, did I win or like what happened? And then, like, no, I went back to join you guys. And then while we were exploring, I'm like, oh, look, that bounty is back. And we were able to defeat him that time. But, like, shot him one time, critical hit, and he disappeared. And I'm like, oh, that was cool, right? That I killed the bounty in one hit because I got, like, a perfect shot off? No. That was the game being like, no, we don't want to play with you.
Did it do that because we weren't with you? Was it like that the team had to be in the circle by a certain time?
It was just so weird.
That's so weird. Yeah, the game does some shit sometimes without, like, telling you. Like something suddenly happens and you're just like, oh okay, we're doing this now. It's really unfortunate, but the video that I sent you though in particular is that there's a side quest you can do with the Outlanders after you do the main quest with them, where you have to go out and find Rush's little buddy there, Cameron. What's their name? The second in command for the Outlanders.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, so I don't know the name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but they've gone looking for like a hyperdrive of some kind, then nobody's heard from them in a long time. So you go looking for them, and at some point you find them, and they're in a cage that is like about to be like thrown into like an endless pit or whatever. And I ran up to the cage thinking, oh, I'll like melee it so that I can like get them out, right? No, I meleeed it, and all of a sudden I was in the cage with them. And moving along with the cutscene, with me moving along in the cage over this thing, and then like getting all this dialogue that's like, stop them, quick, stop them, quick. And I'm just like, I would love to. I can't get out of this fucking thing.
You have guns, right? You can shoot them. No, I get it.
I basically had to fast travel out of the instance and then like come back to it. And luckily, she was still dangling by a thread, but they were, yeah.
That's yesterday, right? We had tried to get together. I reached out when we were starting, and then you're like, yeah, I'd love to get on. I can't get in. So I don't know what that issue is. We still need to look at. My guess is it's either because we were in Dale's game session since she is private on PS5 for whatever reason. But I get it. Privacy is an important thing, and we're never going to know what it's like to be a woman who games. And honestly, I'm thankful for that because it seems like it's a terrifying prospect based on some of the horror stories that I have heard. So we were playing that, but then also you're like, it says that we're on like incompatible versions, and I knew that we had just updated everything. So I didn't know what that was. But one of those things was like, oh, we're in the middle of a mission, and it's just a side mission. So it shouldn't take that long before we can like shut down and try to figure out if we can get playing together. That side mission kept going and going and going. It was the unexploded missile side quest.
Oh, yep. Yeah. I'm in the middle of that one right now. I actually was doing that before we met up today, and I'm going to go back to it afterwards to finish it up.
Then I will not spoil it for you, but it just keeps going.
I'm getting that impression, I'll tell you that, yeah.
I mean, I had fun, and it's a satisfying outcome. But, you know, it's...
There's a lot of game. I gotta say, like with all the shit that I'm giving Borderlands 4 today, I've put a lot of time into it this week. Really enjoyed my time with it. Excited to go back, and it really feels like the game that Destiny had really kind of promised it would be. This huge interconnected world with different factions that you can have reputations with, and doing missions would get you unique weaponry that you would be able to then show off to your friends and stuff. All of the promise, and like the glide mechanics and the bike mechanics and all that. All of the promises I was made about Destiny that ended up not really working out. I feel like I'm finally getting them. like what, 15 years later at this point?
Yeah, I really do enjoy it. Have you come across a wall that you can't pass yet, though? Have you found one of those yet?
You mean like a boundary? Yeah. I have definitely hit a boundary. Okay. Yes, I was like trying to like get to something on the other side of what looked like it was just a rock face. So I was like, well, I'll bounce up the rock face. And then I was like, I'm clearly high enough to land on this. Why can I not move forward? So like, it's a bit of a bummer, but like, it's the first time I've hit it in some 20 some odd hours of gaming.
I'm guessing that you were in like outside of a little settlement and you were like, you climbed up a barn to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same exact thing. And then I'm like, okay, that's weird that I can't go up here, right? Like, I'm up there. Like, I got there, but then I couldn't progress any further once I got that high.
Right.
So I'm like, well, eventually I'm sure I can get to it. And I came around, and what I found was a kind of looking like the Nova Core, like, force field in Guardians of the Galaxy the first. And it's just like... Parts of Karen are locked down right now by the timekeeper. You'll need to get a higher grade in order to move into this area. And I'm like, oh, that was a surprise. I did not think this game had that. So it was a surprise that there's kind of the Grand Theft Auto, like the bridges are broken system that worked in Borderlands.
Yeah, definitely. There, is that maybe that's going to be DLC stuff later? Maybe that's going to be later game stuff. I don't know.
So I don't know. I'm very early. Like game wise, I have not progressed. I've unlocked that first town where you sign up with the Outlanders twice. I did it alone. I did it with Dale and I did it with you. I haven't moved past that. So story wise, I don't know.
Defeated one captain so far.
Nice.
I'll leave it at that.
Very cool.
But it's been a blast, and I've started one of each character just to kind of get my feel for the other ones. But I am loving the Siren stuff, and
yeah,
I don't know. And the game's really got me. It definitely has its problems though. Like I'm not gonna sit here and try and defend the fucking bullshit Randy Pitchford's been
a fucking idiot. Like,
yes.
If it can't play on your system, get a better system. That's nice, huh? That's a real point of entitlement that you're approaching this from. And then, like, if you can't afford another system, if you can't afford a better system, play a different game. Well, I guess I'll play that $20 game that everybody's talking about that came out right around the same time as yours. That I think can run on a potato. I'm not certain of that, but it feels like it might be able to. Also, just because it feel like I would like to transition away from video games. I think that we've talked on everything we're doing. Hollow Knight partially kickstarted. According to this. Development was partially funded through a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign that raised over $57,000 Australian dollar.
Yeah, so they were in a position at that time where they felt they really needed to get that game in front of people because people had put money into it by that point. But yeah.
And then looking at all the downloadable content released like within the year of the game's release, maybe like 18 months total. So a year and a half. But like it felt, and all that stuff felt like this could have been in it, but if we had delayed the game, we might have lost the goodwill of the people who supported us. So it's a delicate act. It's a delicate act. All right, now we're gonna talk about the sad part, the sad thing that's going on, the bone chilling thing that's going on, and that is the crazy censorship and the overreach of power that the FCC has used in order to get Jimmy Kimmel off the air. How are you feeling on this one, Siege?
I mean, Kimmel's not the first, right? Like we saw this happen with Colbert, just a few weeks ago,
not the same way. Colbert was not instantaneous. Colbert, and I know there are people who believe it, who don't believe it. By all accounts, even as the highest rated late show, was not actually making any money for CBS and Paramount.
No, I mean, that's the background story to all of this, is that coming into this, right, like the prologue to all this, is that late night television has not been the same for 20 years. You know, like it's really kind of lost a lot of its potential. And like it's unfortunate, you know, because there are some really good, you know, comedians that are cutting their teeth on late night television, whether they're being on screen or behind this you know, the scenes on it. They're working for these shows in order to, like, I mean, like the Jimmy Kimmel show, man, there's a in-house announcer, so you would never hear him if you were watching the show at home, but if you were in-house, the in-house announcer is Lou Wilson from Dimension 20, and like the Dropout Gang, for anybody out there that follows that, like a comedian that I follow and adore, like lost his job.
Right.
like
people we went to college with lost their jobs. Like straight up. I know at least two people. I'm not going to share their names because they do other stuff too, and I don't want it to fuck them up. But I'm like, holy shit! Like people I know are affected by this, and that's the thing. But as you said, the prologue before we get to this is that late night television, late night talk shows, all of this is fairly ubiquitous to television. Right? Like, it's not one of those things that was going to go away overnight. And it's not one of those things that if you just ended it, there would not be some outcry from the people. Look at what's going on with Saturday Night Live as they go into their 51st year. Like, they're losing cast members left and right. And by all accounts...
this week.
What? Who'd they lose?
Not this week, this month. They've lost 5 people, right?
Some more were announced this week. I think it's around 8, but it's 5 cast members, 8 featured performers. Like, Saturday Night Live is not going to look the same for the start of the 51st season. And part of that to me is like, I'm surprised there's going to be a 51st season. Because we also know how, like, one SNL was a money-making machine. Part of that was when they could do movies, right? And they were having supplementary income to just doing the show. Like, it has not been that for a long time. For about 20
years. Well, they were
years.
doing movies, but don't forget, that's also around the same time when they started the best ofs and stuff like that. And they were making
DVD
bank
sales.
in the DVD market. Yeah.
Right. Like, their whole marketing, and that's how I know that the Jimmy Kimmel, because it's like SNL and Jimmy Kimmel, and not Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. Why are they all named Jimmy, Sejohn? I'm sorry, Jimmy Sarowick.
Jamie Fallon.
But Jimmy Fallon, like, it was the whole thing that keyed me to, like, the issues that are going on in late night television was an article that I read about the fact that Fallon and Saturday Night Live no longer care about the live viewer numbers. They are specifically creating content they know will be absorbed on YouTube, and that earning is enough for them to, like, justify the show and all of the jobs. And I'm like, that's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying.
I mean, it's the thing that they've had to figure out over the last, like, 10, 15 years as streaming has become king. Like, how does a show like SNL work in the streaming market? And if that market and if that solution is cut up into little bits on YouTube, that if that's what they're gonna do, that's what they're gonna do. I mean, it is the way that people consume shit nowadays, Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I mean, we just talked about the best of DVDs. When I was younger, that's the kind of, like, SNL that I was used to watching. I wasn't staying up watching, like, the late night premiere episodes of it. I was always watching the bits online on NBC.com after, right? Like, because I found out that they uploaded, like, a whole bunch of stuff, and I watched the episode with The Rock playing Clark Kent, or the skit with The Rock playing Clark Kent, like, 1,000 times when I was in junior high. Like, I just, like, there's always been kind of this thing kind of bubbling in the background of, like, we need to figure out how to get onto the internet, and if this is what they have found to do it, like, I can't say that I know a better way.
And certainly, I mean, that's what James Corden was doing. That's why his show was as popular as it was, because of all of the views on YouTube. They were counting that in the math of why this is such a popular show. And they would just put up full episodes on YouTube, right? Like, they'd be broken up, but, like, you could watch James Corden's show the next day on YouTube. And I know that because my father did it. I've never really been a fan. I will admit that. But they don't have to admit that, right? It's just a fact. But it is weird. Do you remember your first SNL? Like, the first one that you watched live?
The first one that I watched live, like, actually live,
yeah.
I think was a Christopher Walken.
Holy shit! Christopher Walken, 2004. Weezer was the musical guest. Christopher Walken's 5th time hosting.
Does he do the Cosmopolitan in that episode?
He does the Cosmopolitan in that one, yeah.
Yeah, then yes, I think that we were talking about the same episode.
That's my first episode too. That's so fucking crazy. You need to. Not only is that, like, first of all, I name checked him earlier. Zach will attest to this because we were on a band trip. Oh, it wasn't 2004. I'm sorry. It was 2001. We were on the band trip in Disney. Weezer had just released the Green album, and they were going to be on SNL. So it's Saturday night. We're in one of those weird Disney, like, places where the high school kids stay. Like, it's not a resort. Like, it's a gross motel, but it's on Disney property. Did you ever stay in those things? Were you ever one of your band trips to Disney?
No, I know what you're just talking about, though. I've been to places like Busch Gardens and Six Flags.
Yeah, where they have that, like,
but yeah.
You're on the resort, but you're not at the resort. You're not getting the food. You're in this weird, like, this used to just be a motel.
A lower decks, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah, but not below decks. Let's make sure that distinction is there. And everybody was like, "Oh, where are we going to watch SNL? Where are we going to watch SNL?" And it wound up being my room. That was the start of Devon Decker's The Party Room. And we had about 30 people in our little hotel room watching that episode of SNL with Christopher Walken hosting, and it was his 5th time hosting Saturday Night Live, and Weezer was the musical guest. And it was just this insane sort of, like, thing. And, yeah, Zach was like, "Why are all these people there?" And I'm like, "Because I don't know. Like, everybody wants to hang out with us. Shut up."
I remember these like bits and pieces from when I was like a kid. Like the when I would be at like parties like around like Christmas or something, and so I'd be with family, and so like SNL would have come on at some point, and I remember like Perrier like thick water, right? Like that kind of shit. I remember the Mr. Bill stuff that they used to do.
I mean, I remember Mr. Bill as the show, like when he came over and was doing his own show. Like
there's just like there was bits and pieces before that, but if I were to talk about like a full episode of SNL that I watched, the first one that I think of is Christopher Walken hosting, and specifically because he did his Cosmopolitan character that I thought at the time was the height of fucking comedy.
Is it the Cosmopolitan or is it the
Metropolitan or something? Or
He's the Continental.
The Continental? Yeah. The Continental, is that what it is?
I think that's his name. I mean, we can double check it.
But sir, you've always been here.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm so happy. But yeah, like I had never watched it before that, and then like that was when people were like, "Oh, someday I hope you're on this," and I'm like, "Okay, thank you." Yeah, the Continental first aired in the 15th season, January 20th, 1990. Jesus. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's, I mean, but yeah, it was that Weezer episode was the first one I watched, tip to tail. It also has the one where, goddamn, Cyril Figgis, Chris Parnell is the centaur. Oh. No, I'm sorry, we don't hire dirty centaurs. But he gives him the job interview basically to ask him all of his centaur questions. Yeah, I like that show. I like that. I really like that one episode of SNL. But it's one of these things where, so when I heard about the whole Jimmy Kimmel's going offline, I had already been keyed to the FCC is basically saying, we're going to impose fines on all of your channels, right? Like, you've been doing stuff bad, Disney-owned channels, and we've kind of been letting it slide. But now that we have a target that we want eliminated, we're saying we're going to impose, like, I think, like, across 8 channels that were named. Like, I saw that in the day before coming home and seeing that, like, Jimmy Kimmel has been preempted indefinitely, which is also fucking genius. Which is, it's game has to respect game. And the fact that they did not cancel it, but that ABC is saying we're just going to air something where it usually airs, that every night, if you look at your guide, Jimmy Kimmel Live still shows up. It tells you what the episode was supposed to be, but when you go to it, they've preempted it for another show. It's despicable. It's disgusting. It is such a smart play. Because we talked about why would you continue making the Stephen Colbert show if it's losing you all of this money? And our solution was because they'd have to buy him out of his contract. By preempting the show, they don't need to buy it. Jimmy Kimmel's like cancellation clauses do not trigger. So they're still paying him what they would have paid him, and it's sick. It's just despicable. And I know that, like, I'm excited, I sound happy about it, but, like, knowing what I know about TV, I've always hated the word preempted because it meant I didn't get to see the next episode of Big Wolf on Campus. Always getting preempted by the 700 Club.
God damn it.
But that's where I learned the phrase, I'll admit it. So when I said that they're preempting it, not canceling it, I'm like, fuck, that's smart. But then I also looked into it, and yes, they threatened all of these fines to all these other Disney-owned channels, and they're like, okay, so rather than do that, we'll preempt the show that you have a problem with, which is the Jimmy Kimmel thing. And then all of those fines that the FCC were threatening with, they mysteriously disappeared. But then the further thing that the Next Star group, right, were like, we're not going to show Jimmy Kimmel anyway. Like, we're going to preempt it. Like, I know we're part of your network, but we're just not going to broadcast the show because of the things that he said on Monday, September, was it the 16th? I feel like an idiot that I can't do math in my head real quick. Must have been the 15th. It was September 15th. The things that were said during the September 15th episode, which, I mean, seemed pretty innocuous to me. I'm going to be honest about it.
It seemed to me like he was just explaining the situation to people. Which is
exactly. I don't think it's not like he went on the show and like cheered for somebody's death or anything like that.
On the other hand, I don't often hear dog whistles like these people do. So, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it was one of those things where I'm just like, that just seems like if a news anchor could have said the same thing, and we would have been like, yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. MSNBC.
Well, news anchor kind of did say the same thing a couple of last week. He also lost his job. Some guy just saying that he was just for saying Charlie Kirk was a divisive figure.
Yeah, that's completely different.
I think anybody looking the fuck around right now can tell you that.
Yeah. And that's not even like what he said was that related to the supposed like murderer, like the person who took his life. It was about that and what is happening, and that's, you know, that they're trying to distance him from being on the right despite all of this evidence. Like, that's what's happening. I guess they could try to cancel us, Sejohn, for saying that.
Well, no, I will say that there's been some open acknowledgement that there was a move to the left that occurred just before this, right? But I think the key factor here is that he was raised, like, hyper-conservatively, hyper-conservatively, so the inevitable shift to the left that everybody goes through once they look at the real fucking world broke him. See, it's not the fact that he became more left-leaning that he started to do these things. It's the fact that in doing that, he was, breaking a part of himself in two. Like, this is not an excuse for what this guy did. He's a horrible person, and he will face a court of hopefully his peers, and everything goes right that way. God knows what the fuck that's going to look like. Right now, they're trying to figure out if they can charge him federally for anything, but Utah is basically like, I don't know if there's anything he did federally. Like, he shot a man in Utah. That's not a federal crime. Like, that is a state crime. If he had left Utah, if he had gotten the gun from over borders, if it was a political figure, which people are arguing whether or not a podcaster counts as a political figure, is man, it's wild.
The whole thing is wild. I mean, when you first said, because you live in the same state that this happened, right? You live in that, and you're like, and it was a very conservative area of Utah. This is crazy. Where that this happened.
I have family down in that area, and they live in that area because they are very involved in the church. It's an area known for being in the church. He was at a school that was basically like church funded, not BYU because I guess, but he was like, but it's one of those schools that like, well, if you didn't get into BYU, you can at least go to this one. The religious fallback, there it is.
It's my religious fallback school.
Yeah, it was just really weird and wild, and so people have been following it, and then trying to see people try and pin this on certain ideologies that don't make any fucking sense it's crazy. Like, it doesn't matter what he believed before or after. If they were so diametrically opposed, that it broke this piece of this kid in two, and like it's a horrible fucking incident, and like he's now gonna have to live the rest of his life behind bars if there's much of a life left, because God knows what they're gonna do to him.
Right.
Utah's ready to go all the way with this one, and I don't love the look of that, but we'll see.
So Kimmel was just explaining that, essentially what you just said, that this person came from a conservative background, and by all accounts, that seems to be the case, right? And then they're trying to distance themselves from that fact with this whole thing. And that's why, and next are like, we're not going to show it anyway. So then Disney takes a look at that, and I am not forgiving Disney for doing this. They are kowtowing to federal political pressure, which is scary too. It is scary that the FCC is like, we're going to wield our power so that you will cancel a show we have a problem with. That's disgusting. That is a huge misuse of power. It's just being said. But they looked
at worst, it's a threat. At best, it's a bribe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's like
yeah. This whole thing, but then when one of their affiliate groups, right, one of their larger affiliate groups, it's not like Nexstar owns 3 affiliates. They own like 60% of the affiliates, I think, that ABC has. It's some large number. Don't quote me on that. But it was already a significant amount of ABC channels, that were not going to be showing this anyway. It's like, well, if that's going to be the case, then we're just going to preempt it across the board, right? And we're just not even going to broadcast it. They avoid the political federal pressure that's being put on them. And also, they eliminate something that, based on the books, was all costing them money, right? Like, it costs them less money this way. It's a gross financial decision. That doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it okay. But financially, I see why they made the decision that they made. That does not account for any of the people.
These decisions.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. And we've been seeing that forever, right? How financial decisions are paramount in this country, right? Like how often we don't value human life, but we value the bottom dollar.
You know, man, and it was a real problem when we were not swinging so conservative, because let's face it, like as a country we are swinging conservative now again, whether we like it or not. We are along for the fucking ride on this pendulum, but like we are swinging more conservative now. When we were swinging less conservative, when we were swinging more liberal in our beliefs and what we were talking about and you know, basing our governance on, like, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It was not an ideal world for leftists, believe me. There was all sorts of shit that we were compromising on, and like I think that a generation or two of people kind of didn't realize how good we had like got it now. Like how far we had gone, you know, because like now here we are looking at the other side of the coin, swinging back the other way, and it's a real fucking bummer that people seem to not realize the work that was put in the 80s and in the 90s. You know, even before that, you know, the 60s and 70s definitely were shaping, but they kind of have that history belongs to them. Whereas I feel like the 80s and 90s belongs to me. And I don't know what the fuck happened in the 2000s and the 2010s to kids growing up then that to make them the people they are today, because I just don't get them.
I mean, 8 years of George W. Bush, if I had to like just start the guess, and then another 8 years of Barack Obama. And I'm not saying he was by no means perfect, right? Like I don't think any president in our nation's history is perfect, right? Because they're all human. Until we find a way to eliminate the humanity from it, we're not going to get perfection. Even then, then it would be perfect, like, numerically, statistically. That doesn't necessarily mean that the right things are going to be done, like, on an ethical level.
You know, with some of the stuff that Trump has been saying lately, I don't think I want a president that's aiming for heaven.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? like sometimes they got to make some shitty ass decisions, and they have to make them so that I don't have to. That is literally the point of our representative government, is that all the way to the top, you represent the will of the people. And so, like, you have to make a hard decision that I don't have to make, thank God. So, like, I don't want a president that every thought hinges on, but if I don't do this, then my made-up theory about the next life might not be true, or Jesus. I have a real issue when we expect our presidents to be perfect angels, because we can't afford to hold them to that level of morality.
And that whole thing you say about, like, we want it to be someone who's willing to make those tough choices. We also put that person into that spot to make those choices, right? Like, we look at the candidates and we say, that's the guy that I think is going to make the choices that I don't want to have to make, right? Mm-hmm. So there is still some culpability for us as voters. I just want to make sure, because there was a way that what you said could be interpreted as if I don't want to have to worry about it. That's the president's problem. But we also get to choose who the president is.
Oh yeah, we still have responsibility.
Yes, that's all I want to make sure is that
that
is on paper. But yeah, the reason I bring up Obama, right? And again, however you feel about him, those kids who had just grown up with 8 years of George W. Bush as president from their conservative parents and from all of the conservative avenues in this country, all they heard was thanks Obama or blame to Obama for anything that went negative for this country. So like I can totally see how those 16 years would shape the generations of the aughts and the tens.
Yeah.
In the 2000s. Yeah. Like I've been watching, it's leaving in 10 days as of the recording, so 9 days as of the release. And who knows, right? Streaming licenses get renewed all the time. And usually it's because they announce that they're going to expire. So people watch it in droves and then like Hulu looks at it and goes, yeah, maybe that show is actually making us some money. It's a really broken system. I'm just going to talk about it. But Raising Hope is leaving Hulu, right? As they announced that it's going to be off of Hulu beginning in October. And someone told me, like, don't get too up on that. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not like the other ones where it, like, showed up and said it's going to be done. Like, Hulu issued a statement saying, we don't plan on renewing our streaming license for this series come October of 2025. So I don't know if it's going to wind up anywhere, but we had been in the middle of a rewatch of it before this announcement happened. And once I found out that it had 12 days left and we had 19 more episodes to watch, we have really just like put the pedal down on that show. And I don't necessarily think I would call the Chance family like liberal or conservative. They're very like independent as it comes down to it. There's even an episode where like they lose a storage locker and Burke goes, thanks, Romney. And Virginia's like, yeah, he lost. So, you know, I don't know what you're doing with that one. Like they have that stuff, but all of the jokes that are going on in a sitcom from the 2010s through to 2014, there's a lot of people who are very conservative in that show who make the comments like, thanks, Obama. And like, that has really just opened my eyes to like how negative that could have as an effect on the next generation.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like, people need to be held accountable, and that's the hard part is that when one side is willing to admit that all people need to be held accountable, but the other side thinks only the bad guys do. It was like, well, fuck you, man. Like, no, everybody needs to be held accountable. That's to a T.
That's kind of what accountability is. It's something we all need to hold out.
It's just Civics 101. I think that's the thing that really scares me more than anything about all of this is it's not that there's a guy willing to try this. It's the people willing to let him get away with it, right? And almost worse are the people that think this is just how it's done. There are people that think that this is something that a president has always been able to do, and it's like, no. It's like he shouldn't be able to do it now. Like this revelation that the president could do whatever the hell he wants for as long as he's in office, and like and apparently in theory
without consequences
leading to office or like after office, because like Trump's going to believe me, he's going to push those boundaries too at some point.
He already has. He has. We've seen it. Like you say that he's going to. The fact that this is one of the first times in our lifetimes that we see a person win the office of president, lose his re-election campaign, and then win in 4 years after that is really telling. Like the fact, I mean, he was found guilty of over 30 felonies right before he became the president again. And while a felon cannot vote for the president, apparently you can become the president and not have to suffer the consequences of those crimes. Like that's a scary precedent to set. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's But the censorship thing, this Jimmy Kimmel thing, like, but then I just look at it, I follow the money, and it's like they were looking for a way to get rid of this anyway. And it sucks. It sucks. All of those people who worked for the Jimmy Kimmel show who now do not have jobs because of this indefinite preemption. And honestly, I don't know how you don't come back from it, right? Even with all of the criticism that they're receiving, the only thing that could happen would be like a federal injunction that forces Disney ABC to put him back on the air. And like that would also be a weird like abuse of power as well. Like it's such a delicate dance that has to be done because you got to think about the legal precedents that you're setting. Right?
Well, and I mean, we wouldn't be in this predicament if the FCC never fucking stuck their nose in it. You know what I mean? Like if they never opened their mouth and Disney eventually, ended the Jimmy Kimmel show because it just wasn't profitable anymore of its own accord, right? Then it's crazy to me. It's like the conservatives jumped the gun on trying to get rid of Kimmel so fast that they accidentally shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is going to have huge ramifications going forward. Because we've already seen that just in this week of it. But it's undeniable, right? Just like we talked about in our episode, The Colbert Report, like, it's undeniable how unprofitable one of the pillars of television has become. Namely, the late night program. I don't want to look like a fool like the people in the audience at the Jimmy Kimmel show when he's like, we won best talk show last night at the Emmys and they all cheered. And he's like, so none of you pay attention because we didn't. Do you know what won best talk show? I have to imagine it was Last Week Tonight, but I don't follow the Emmys.
I actually don't know who won best, because it's not just talk show, it's talk show or variety show, right?
Yeah, so it's all sorts.
So doesn't SNL go up against like late night and stuff? So
outstanding talk series, the three nominees were The Daily Show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert won that.
Colbert won because Colbert brought down the fucking house with his yeah.
So then but I know that What's It took a bunch of them home too, didn't it? Television.
What's It?
The Last Week Tonight I thought won some stuff. I know that select category, I don't know. Variety series, right? That's the thing. Stephen Colbert won that. That's where Last Week Tonight was. Yeah, I think Colbert won everything, and unfortunately, probably for the exact reason that you would think it happened. Like the same reason, yeah. Last Week Tonight won for outstanding writing for a variety series, which was Daily Show and Saturday Night Live. Because they've had to change that one up because, is Last Week Tonight really just a late night talk show going up against all these other ones that are every night and everything that they're up against. So, yeah. So, I mean, I honestly don't know. Like that's the thing. And Last Week Tonight's able to do what it does because of its incredible budget from HBO. But I have to imagine that those days are probably numbered, right? Considering everything that Zaslav has done. Like, I guess if Warner Brothers gets bought by Skydance, which is a terrifying proposition,
apparently Netflix is considering a bid. Did you see that news?
I did see that news, yeah.
Oh,
like, it's scary stuff. It is just, I don't know. And I know that we just talked about these things, but I put in the work, right? I watched all 10 new episodes of Futurama, so I'd like to share a little bit of that experience.
Yeah, let's talk about some Hulu Futurama.
Hulu Rama, as it says before every Hulu episode of Futurama. I don't know how I feel about that. I just want to bring up the episode titles so that I don't miss any of them. The first thing I'll say is that the continued, nighttime release, I don't love it. And I know that I'm crazy. I feel like an old man yelling at a cloud, right? I'm Abe Simpson on this one. But it's just so strange to me that now it comes out at 1200 hours Zulu time. Universal Central Time. I'm not sure why that was the decision, Because, like, that's not when King of the Hill released. King of the Hill released at 8 a.m., at midnight, the day that they said it was going to release. So I don't know. It's weird to me that Peacemaker is new at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays. But I get it. You kind of want to make it destination viewing again. Futurama,
especially HBO Max, because remember one of their biggest draws when they first became. Remember HBO Go?
Yes.
Was Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones, and the whole big thing with Game of Thrones is that was it right after or was it at the same time?
It was simultaneous. It was a simultaneous drop.
Yeah. So people got real into it. So that's kind of their bread and butter, is to like make that like destination viewing adult drama.
So if Peacemaker were airing on any of the HBO channels, I would not have this complaint. Like, I complained to you about it. I complained on this show about it because there is no over-the-air, like, equivalent to Peacemaker airing. If there were,
but it's a proof of concept for HBO that they don't need to have that they don't need to do a television premiere, but can emulate that television premiere vibe still with this. Does that give them the same results? And I don't know how Peacemaker's doing watch wise right now.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's Jesus, like that's crazy too. But it's one of those like that. So like Futurama, the first 2 Hulu seasons were week-to-week releases. So if it were still a week-to-week release, and now we're like, but now it's 8 o'clock on Mondays, I'd get it. They're trying to make it a destination. They don't want it to come out, everybody watches it, and then you're not talking about it anymore. But with the 13th season of Futurama, the 3rd on Hulu, they switched to drop all the episodes sort of situation. So I'm not sure what they were aiming for. Like, it just surprised me when it said it's going to be available on the 15th of September. And I'm like, oh, okay, so at midnight, I can start watching it. No, because like How I Met Your Mother, like those aired at midnight on the Tuesday. Like How I Met Your Father.
How I Met Your Father, you mean?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Like those, right? I had to wait till Tuesday at midnight for them to go live. And I enjoyed that. I don't know. Also, since we're talking about it before we get into Futurama, The Paper, right? That show that surprised me, that I even watched it, which was supposed to be a Peacock exclusive series, will be airing on NBC this fall, beginning Monday, November 10th.
Nice.
I think that's crazy. It means that they think people like it, and I wonder what will happen with the second season of The Paper now that this has happened. But,
I wonder what will happen now with people having the ability to watch it on TV.
Yeah.
Like I don't know many people that have Peacock in my personal life besides you. And so like that number of people that liked it is great, and that's awesome. I don't know if the public at large is going to have the same reaction to it. That'll be an interesting move. I just hope that they don't then kill it. You know what I mean? If it doesn't do well on television, then just don't put it back on television. Just keep it on the damn streaming service. But like, I fear that they will use it as a reason to just kill the project.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one for sure. Also, I've been calling it Futurama season like 13. According to the internet, it's only season 10, but that doesn't seem right.
Well, I don't think that... do they not consider the movies a season?
They do. So those account as season 5, looking at this. What they don't do is separate out the first 2 seasons here. They count that as... like, because it broke down after, a big piece of garbage or something like that. Like, the first season was shorter. Like, oh no, Hell Is the Robot was like the end of the first. I don't know. It's all broken down differently. I think they're just changing how they do it. So I'm fairly certain it said season 13 when I watched it on Hulu. So apologies for that, but according to this, it looks like it's season 10 on Hulu, that's just kind of insane to me. I would have never thought of it like that. Maybe the Comedy Central seasons are more than just like they're longer than I thought. Yeah, they are. So like The Mutants Are Revolting, I thought ended a season, and I think it ended a season on Hulu.
To your credit, season 13 is what it's labeled on Hulu.
Okay, yeah. So my guess is that they consider season 6 and season 7 of the Comedy Central seasons. I'm fairly certain those are broken up into 2 separate seasons because of how they aired. Let me look. The Silence of the Clamps aired July 14th, 2011, and The Mutants Are Revolting was September 2nd, 2010. So it's like there was a space between it. I think it was shown in 2 separate things. The first 13 episodes of the season have been released in a box set called Volume 5. So that's exactly what I'm looking at it. That's where it comes from. So that was not 2 13-episode seasons. It was one large 26-episode season that was split into 2. That's how Hulu is listing it as well. Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't get that. So that's fun. Sorry for that whole thing. I have watched more Futurama live than binging it. I was watching Futurama when it was new. It was a show I cared about. I remember watching the first episode at a Celtics game. Like we were in a box for my father's work, and the new Futurama aired, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it on the TV over there with all those other people watching the first episode of Futurama, Dad. And he's like, but what are you doing? The game? And I'm like, yeah, no, like, I'll see the end of the game. But, like, Futurama, this is a big deal. It's Matt Groening's second show. Because nobody considered The Critic his second show. For good reason, right? I think he was an EP on it, but he wasn't a creative on it. I don't know. Who knows? What are we talking about? Sejohn, talking about Futurama.
I don't know, man.
So I've watched a lot of it.
Futurama.
I've watched a lot of it, yeah. So the binging, like even the 5th season, when it came to Comedy Central for the first time, I watched a lot of that as it was airing live on Adult Swim. It wasn't like waiting for the DVDs. And then, when I worked on the cruise ship and the 7th season started, or the 6th season, however they break it down, the first Comedy Central episodes, I would go into port, I would go to a hotspot, and I would, illegally pirate the new episode. So I was still watching it week to week. So, binging Futurama has never really been how I've taken in Futurama. So it's been kind of interesting that with this 13th season, according to Hulu, I got to binge a season of Futurama. And I don't know if it led to me realizing 3 of the episodes start at Amy and Kif's apartment. And I'm like, that's weird. That's a weird establishing thing for this. I never really thought of their place being this is where we'll start an episode, and at least 3 of the new seasons start there. Really loved the first episode was excellent. With Bender taking steroids called D-roids to make himself taller to appeal to a model bot who was literally programmed to be attracted to whatever the tallest thing in the room was. Very clever. Very, very clever, funny thing. Some good Godzilla humor about how, the licensing... I mean, the fact that we call him Godzilla in America, where they are the Gojira films in Japan, in order to skirt international copyrights in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
There's a huge running joke about all of the different names that Godzilla has. That was excellent. So that was fun. The second episode, World is Hot Enough, was a nice callback to the first global warming episode that they did. Where it's decided we're going to
blame it all on robots.
Yeah. We'll move a little bit further from the sun, and we'll drop an ice cube into the ocean every year to combat global warming. So it was nice to have that callback. 50 Shades of Green was a classic. Fry just loves things that look like Leela. That one had the most memorable line for me, where they're like, if you want to know who your soulmate is, you need to get a magic mirror, but those are forbidden. So Fry goes into, the Beast with 2 backs side, or whatever it's called, the porn store at the Black Market Bazaar. And he's like, so where can I get one of these magic mirrors that I've heard so much about that nobody's supposed to discuss? It's just a perfect line delivery.
Is it the guy that sells a human horn? Is it that guy?
Yeah, it's that lizard guy. Yeah. Yeah, just perfect freaking delivery from. I can't think of the guy who voices Fry. He was also Doug Funny and Stimpy the Cat. What's that actor's name? Get that actor's name. For
I keep wanting to call him Philip J. Fry, but that's not his name.
That's the character's name. Oh, I can't think of the actor's name. John DiMaggio is the one that keeps jumping into, but that's Bender. I'm Bender. It'll come there. So yeah, 50 Shades of Green was good because it was that question of
Billy West.
Billy West, thank you.
Also was Bugs Bunny in Space Jam.
In Space Jam, right. The Numberland Gap, the 4th episode. Professor's tired of the world, so he wants to find a place that is only logic, and they find a world that is composed of numbers, and like numbers have nothing. Like, it was just such a good, like, intelligent Futurama episode. Like, the idea of going into a world that is populated by numbers. They just do really good stuff with that. Scared Screenless, like, dealing with, like, internet fatigue, and it was a perfect Zap Brannigan episode with the bravado and all the jokes there. Wicked Human, I thought it was a Wicked reference because it started with people flying around defying gravity, turned into a freaking parody of the Wicked Tuna, complete with Boston accented aliens.
Nice.
And that's it. Murderoni, which seems like a little late because it was all about the pizza place across the street from that was introduced in the Blurnsball episode. The wife of that thing, I can't remember her name. It's crazy alien sort of name, Blenzinichi or something like that. They have the most delicious pepperoni at their place, and Fishy Joe is running against her, and he says it's because they're turning babies into pepperoni in their basement. So, like, pizza basement conspiracy seemed like a little late to the party. I'm just going to be honest with you. Also, Fishy Joe really turned into a Trump analog in that episode. Like, some of the things he said and some of the words they put in his mouth was a little interesting. I'm not going to lie. Crab Splatter, where Zoidberg gets evicted from his dumpster and he moves in with Leela's parents, prompting them eventually to adopt him, making Zoidberg and Leela related on paper. And then, spoilers for this episode, it is revealed that Zoidberg and Leela are distant relatives of each other. Anyway, that was a really good one. I really, really enjoyed that one. Trouble with Truffles, classic Bender wants to do something. Bender Rodriguez and Homer J. Simpson, very much the same sort of character when you like lock down on the fact that they're both kind of jerks and they've had a million different careers. And in Trouble with Truffles, Bender wants to hunt for truffles and he gets a little truffle pig, and that one was, I don't even want to talk about it. It was just delightful. And then The White Hole, a white hole opens in the sky and an emissary says that they can go through the hole to witness the birth of the 13th universe. Turns out we are Universe 6. I really hate when they do stuff like that because, let's be completely honest about it, it was established in the Farnworth paradox that there were only ever 2 dimensions. So now that there's all sorts of universes, I don't know how I feel about it. But the problem is that a white hole is the opposite of a black hole, where a black hole sucks everything and a white hole is pushing everything out. So unfortunately, as you approach the white hole, you are blasted by chronotons, so you will die before you are able to cross the event horizon, or the anti-event horizon, as they call it in the episode. So the solution to this is they go all into frozen stasis, not cryosleep. They get frozen in carbonara, not carbonite, carbonara, because they think it's hilarious. But on the ship, while they're all frozen, there is a biomatter printer that can print out copies of anybody who's in the ice like trays that they're frozen in case anything needs to be done on the ship while they're resting. So it kind of has that whole Mickey 17 thing, because every time one is printed, they have the number on them. And like, it just really, like, what I have not liked about the last 2 Hulu seasons are that, like, the final episode have kind of been anthology episodes where, like, let's see.
It's kind of a habit that they got into even before the Hulu seasons. I feel like, yeah.
So the nice thing about White Hole is that it gets to tell those same type of anthology stories. Like, there is the one where one of the Fry clones leaves out a yogurt. That yogurt is exposed to Chronoton, so it hyper evolves into a blob that is threatening the ship. And so Zoidberg has to eat the blob, and then he becomes crazy until he eventually dies from Chronoton exposure. And, like, that's it. Like, that's a perfect, like, little what-if little story. But, like, it felt like it was all part of this episode as opposed to a disconnected anthology. And they even kind of, like, reference the fact that, like, this is how we're doing it. Because the first task that Fry has to do as a bioclone is to put on the Finglonger glove and shut off a light switch that was left on.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a nice callback to Anthology of Interest 1 with the Finglonger. Also, the Finglonger got an upgrade, because now it's just a regular glove, and you can choose how long you want the finger to go. Which you like to see progress 1,000 years from now, right? But overall, really enjoyable. Like, I liked it. I never went, like, too overboard. Like, I think the most I watched in a day was 4, and even then it was not back to back. Like, I watched one, I did some things, I came back, I watched another one. So overall, enjoyable. And I know that a lot of people are canceling their Disney subscriptions, Hulu and Disney Plus. But if you do still have it, right, because canceling it doesn't mean that you lose it immediately, I think that this recent season of Futurama is worth checking out. It reminded me of the old days. Not just, like, the early Comedy Central days, but, like, the first 5 or so seasons, which was nice. Cool. I'm not going to lie.
Nice.
Are you okay if I talk about one other thing that I experienced that came out this week, Sejohn? I don't know how you're feeling on time right now, or...
Yeah, what's up? What did you do?
I watched Elio, because Elio finally came to Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it. I don't know why people had such issue with it, but I will say this. There was a thing that happens very early on in the movie where I'm like, if I can say I enjoy this movie, if I'm going to recommend this movie to other people to watch, they have to address what just happened in the film. And that is the fact that Elio is a little shit in the beginning of the movie. This movie is super Pixar paint by numbers. Down to the fact that, like, literally the first scene is, oh, I heard what happened to your brother and his wife, and now you have to raise Elio. Like, okay, dead parents right from the beginning, and you just explained it in dialogue. Right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. But as much as, like, that aunt feels a little overwhelmed having to now raise her, like, he's probably like 10 years old, like 10-year-old nephew, right? Like, he's also is, and I'm not trying to blame anybody in this, but he's also, like, not trying to connect with her. Like, he's so upset about his parents being missing that he's not, like, giving her a chance in anything. Like, he's become real insular, and he's acting out because of that. Like, it's all explainable, right? Everybody grieves in different ways. And the film does this really good thing of him, like, realizing that the reason him and his aunt don't get along is the fact that he's never given her the chance to, like, interact with him.
Yeah.
Like it does that. But then it also has, like, he gets into a fight. Like, that's why he has the patch, is he wants ham radios. So he starts a ham radio club because he thinks that if he gets many ham radios together, then he'll be able to send a signal out to space. It's weirdly a lot like Men, Women, and Children, and as there's a lot of Carl Sagan, and the Voyager space probe plays a pretty prominent part in the film.
All right.
I, like, half expected at any moment for it to just smash cut to Adam Sandler masturbating in his son's room. I'm not lying to you. But so that whole thing, so the ham radio club, like another kid comes out, and it shows that like Elio, as much as he feels like he's not being listened to, he's also not listening, because this kid Bryce shows up at the ham radio club, and basically he just takes his ham radio, and then Bryce's friend Caleb shows up, and they get into a fight, and he gets hit in the eye with the ham radio, Elio, which is why he has the eye patch on, is because, you know, that's you did damage to your eye and it needs time to heal. Because a lot of people were asking, why does Elio have an eye patch? That was a big question that a lot of people had. The real reason, spoilers for Elio, is so that there's clones in this movie. This Pixar movie has a lot going on. Elio lies to the aliens that he is the leader of Earth, because he fumbles when he says it in the first transmission to them. So they're like, so in order to get admission into the Communiverse, which is a community of like-minded aliens who are trying to like live in harmony in the universe, they're like, first of all, Brad Garrett's villain character is submitting for admission into the Communiverse, and they're like, you know, you're like a warlord. It's not really what we want from this. Sorry, but your application is denied. So then he says that he's going to come back and destroy the Communiverse. So they shut down applications. So Elio, even though he's been looking for aliens his whole life to try to like find acceptance in space, not his whole life, since his parents passed away, they're like, we're shutting down applications for membership into the Communiverse. It'll only be for like 1,000 years until this whole thing blows over. So he says, no, I will negotiate on the behalf of the Communiverse with that guy. And if I can get that done, will I become an ambassador in your group? And it turns out that like their whole thing, like the Communiverse, is all about whenever they're confronted with a bully, they turn tail and run and they don't confront the problem. Which is an interesting, like, moral story for a kid's movie. Is that, like, ignoring problems is not the way to get them to go away. I kind of dug it. I'm not going to lie. So he lies and says he's the leader. And they're like, all right, well, Earth will miss their leader, so we have to make a clone of you. So they clone him and send the clone down to Earth. That's also how Elio sees, because the clone is engaging with the aunt. So, like, Elio watches the clone working with the aunt, and it's not one of those, see, she even likes the clone more than she likes me. Like, he acknowledges that the clone, when she asks a question, the clone answers. When she offers to do something, the clone does it. He doesn't retreat inward. He, like, is trying to have a relationship with his aunt.
Yeah.
And it's...
I'm telling you, this sounds a lot more complex than you were giving it credit for in the beginning. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, the film is very, very deep and complex. I was surprised by that. But then at the very end, like he's trying to reach out and he goes through ham radio. He's able to get Bryce. And he's like, hey, I'm really sorry about like going along with Caleb's whole thing. Because they pull like a prank on him before he goes to space as well, in addition to the ham radio fight. As retaliation, and he goes, Caleb can be a butt sometimes, and Elio's like, you know what, I was kind of acting like a butt at the time too, and that right there is when I gave the movie a thumbs up, because like, I'm tired of movies where the kid is a little shit, and they never have to take accountability for how their actions were contributing to, you know, whatever was going on in their life. Like, having that moment where he admits that at the time he was also being selfish really worked for me. I'm gonna be honest about it. And it's a much deeper movie. I have not touched on half of the geopolitical, or I guess the stellar political stuff that goes on in this movie. Like, oh, man. It was really good. Like, I understand why people probably had issues with it. It is very, very... this is a Pixar movie. This is how we make a Pixar movie. And there has been some talk that there were some like homosexual overtones that had to be removed from the movie. I'm not sure where those would have been in this film. Like maybe his aunt. There was a moment where I'm like, I guess maybe his aunt could have been like gay, and that would have been fine with me. Wouldn't have been all right with Snoop Dogg, but you know, what are you going to do? But yeah, like, this one seemed a lot less, like, full of transgressions against the viewer than, like, Lightyear seemed to be for people.
No, I think the big thing that Yeah, the big thing that I've heard about Elio in terms of people not seeing it was a lot of people not knowing about it. Like the bigger issue I think this movie had was not necessarily pissing off people and like people refusing to see it. I think that Disney didn't put any fucking effort behind putting this movie in front of eyeballs, except like on their own channel. But like, you know, there wasn't like a special like event like preview out for anything. There wasn't a particular movie that I remember it being tied to in any way. You know, like.
Yeah, well, I saw the first trailer for Elio probably before something in November of last year. I don't know what, like, maybe Wicked. I think I saw it before Wicked. Like, that tracks with releases. Possibly Sonic the Hedgehog 3. They had a huge display in the movie theater, but it was one of those where, like, but what is this movie going to be about? Because I'm not hearing anything about it. But it did come to Disney Plus on the 17th. That's where I watched it. And it's one of those, I kind of want to see it because, like, on some level, when I saw a trailer, it piqued my interest. And, yeah, I think that Disney, you know, for all the other issues that they're dealing with right now that we talked about a little earlier in this episode, really they are dealing with the fact that Snow White failed the way that Snow White did. And again, part of that is like what you talked about. They tried to market it. It didn't go well for them. So then they just stopped marketing it. And of course, nobody's going to see a movie that nobody's really aware of. Yeah. Right?
Like, the fucking bullshit that I keep hearing online about how they recast or like restructured everything to make the dwarf CGI, and the evidence of that being that photo going around. Did we talk about this?
Oh, we talked about it as soon as I watched the movie. As soon I watched Snow White as soon as it was available to me, and I'm like, no, that's in the plot. Those 7 people that everybody's saying these were the dwarfs, they're the band of thieves that hang out with Jonathan. So like, they definitely restructured it, right? By all accounts, the dwarfs were originally played by humans, and then they replaced them with CGI. But it was not that ragtag bag of scamps that's in. I think they're mostly like UK articles, right? Like it's the Sun. We gave this a lot of oxygen after I saw the movie.
The problem is now is that's become the truth for
so many people.
You know?
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to combat it after watching it because. Yeah, it's undeniable that they had cast regular human actors to play those roles, and then they replaced it. But it was not, like, I feel like the dwarfs were always going to be the dwarfs. And then those 7 people that they show, they're just like dwarf analogs, just so that the dwarfs can have someone to hang out with while Snow White and Jonathan are making out. Right? We have enough right now for beach volleyball, still. But Elio, it was surprisingly really good. And surprisingly really good because, like, nobody's talked about it. Or anything that I have heard about it was like, it was all right. No, there's a lot of depth to it. Really, like, and it's completely, like, original, by all accounts. Like, the structure of the story is very Pixar. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of Can of Worms, like, when I saw the first trailer. But it grows out of the shadow of that decom, like, right away. With the stakes that it gives it. And the fact that, like, because Can of Worms is very much like there's going to be an intergalactic draft for who gets that kid to come live on the planet. Like, no, the fact that Elio, he never has to really fight. Like, they originally bring him to the Communiverse because we want to include Earth in this collective based upon everything we found on the Voyager space probe. And then Elio's just the first person to get a message out to them, so they assume that means he's their leader. Right? Like, you know.
Oh, man.
A really, really enjoyable film. And I would feel sad if I did not give it the credit that it's due. I also rewatched Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Damn, Sonic the Hedgehog is a good series of films.
Sam, Sonic the Hedgehog, aren't they doing a Sonic 4? I don't know how they do one after the end of 3.
Well, I mean, there is the 2 teasers at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It's been out for almost a year at this point. And the internet has already leached onto it. But there's the one where Sonic winds up in New York and gets attacked by a gang of Metal Sonic robots,
right?
And is saved by Amy Rose. So
yeah, that was very exciting for me.
Yeah, I cheered in the theater. I was super happy about it. And Amy looks incredible, as do the Metal Sonic robots. So you could go the path of Sonic the Hedgehog Sonic CD, where like time travel is an issue, and then you could have it be some not ancestors, like the legacy spawn of Robotnik in some way, shape, or form is the villain. Or it could be a rogue AI of Robotnik. So, like, you can have Carrie back, but he's just like Arnim Zola, where he's a face.
Oh my god! Like, or let him be, let him be Robotnik, but have him be like a glitchy Robotnik.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Let him do his physical work,
Yeah. So there's plenty of directions they can take it. And then we also see that Shadow is alive. So, like, because we see him show up and pick up his bracelets that he removed that contain his chaos power. So there is plenty of things that exist in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog that would allow for there to be a sequel, even though, by all accounts, Robotnik has died within the universe. Though they also said, like, this week, one of the reasons why we watched Sonic the Hedgehog 3, because the family had not yet seen it, I saw it in theaters and nobody else had seen it, was them saying, like, we will put Robotnik in the fourth movie if Jim Carrey is willing. So, like, they're putting it all on him. Because by all accounts, he said he wanted to no longer act, right? He wanted to retire from acting. And then the only thing that he's done since saying that is continue to be Robotnik in Sonic films. So if they'll find a place for him if he wants to be in it. But it does not seem as if, first of all, it seems to me like they probably don't have a script yet for the fourth Sonic movie when they're saying if he wants to be in it, we'll find a way to put him in it. Like,
part of me kind of wants them to put a cap on that trilogy, not saying move away from like Ben Schwartz or anything as Sonic. I think that's, first of all, a revelation for that character.
So good.
But like this, like, pull a Smurfs and start doing just a bunch of full CGI movies. You have him dimension hop and get away from the real world, and do like an animated one or at least a heavily animated one. Robotnik is still human type thing, there's potential there too to really kind of shift what the franchise is actually doing right now. I think that they put such a good end on the first three that, like, I think more Sonic, yes, but not necessarily more
of
in
that
the same
world.
story.
Yeah, we don't need to see James Marsden and Tika Sumpter anymore. Like, they're great, and I love the characters, but you're right. They could move past that trilogy. As much as I cheered when Amy showed up, like, it's like, but I don't need a Sonic the Hedgehog 4, right? Like, you told a really good story. And the Knuckles series is the best thing that they've done. As much as I love the three movies, them getting to, like, breathe in that world and expand it out and filtering it all through Knuckles was wonderful. I really loved the Knuckles series. So they should do stuff with the universe. You're not wrong. They should expand that universe out, and that doesn't necessarily mean that Sonic the Hedgehog 4 has to be a direct sequel.
It even can be.
Right.
Amy shows up with the metal robots. Maybe this is the reason that he has to go dimension hopping into the next world, and so you get like a bookend with James Marsden, but it really is just kind of a different thing, right?
Yeah. Because, there's only so much that you can do. I guess there's still a bunch of countries they haven't gone to. And Tails losing his mind in Japan was wonderful. And the Chow Garden and, Are You Detective Pikachu? They had some fun with it. I could see Sonic in Italy, right? Can I get a chili dog pizza? Who knows?
Sonic running up the side of the tower.
Leaning Tower Pizza? Yeah.
Or the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Yeah. Leaning Tower of Pisa so that he could do a giant leap off it. Yeah.
There'd be some good stuff there. But it's a fun series, and I was reminded of that. And the third one, considering it's adapting the Shadow storyline. So you have Maria, you have Gerald Robotnik, you have all of this heavy fucking shit in that movie. They nail it. They nail the balance in that film in a lot of ways that, like, when you go grim dark, you are risking the chance of that not happening.
And one of the cringiest moments in Sonic history is from the original Shadow story when, like, Shadow, like, pulls out, like, a gun or something, right?
But it's from Shadow the Hedgehog when he gets the gun in that, because, like, he doesn't need it. Yeah. No, but also one of the most referenced moments is from Sonic Adventure 2, which is the death of Maria Robotnik.
The kiss.
Yeah, the kiss, and then well, no, the kiss is in 2009. Sonic 06. Yeah. Sonic 06, where Sonic is dating a human woman.
That's what we were going.
No. Maria's death is like it's a huge tonal shift in Sonic Adventure, and like the way that they give who has just been an ultimate evil, like this weird. This is why Shadow is such an asshole. Is because the only person who ever showed him love was taken from him, and he's never processed that grief. Because, it's important to process grief. That's the lesson of almost everything we talked about today.
Yeah, across the board.
Right? So last thing is the name of that Robert Redford as a stunt pilot. I don't think I said it. It's The Great Waldo Pepper. It's a good movie. I really like that one.
Oh, man.
He's a pilot in the 1930s. It's a good one. I like that one. Anything else you want to make sure we say this episode? Remember, I bought a katana. That's a thing now. I'm not going to be holding it every episode, but it's part of the things I can hold while I record now. Oh, I have one more thing to share too. So whatever you got, and then I have one more announcement.
I am officially caught up on Absolute Batman to where it's releasing now, and there's been some spoilery stuff out there about coming stories with Catwoman finally showing up and stuff. But right now, it's in the middle of a Bane story that is basic Absolute Batman. If there's anything that this version of Batman really brings to the table, like in terms of attitude, it is a straight up horror show. Like, it is just some of the scariest writing I have seen for Batman. I mean, both in the disregard for human life, there is just some awful stuff that, like, the Black Mask gang gets up to and stuff like that. But then on top of that, like, the concepts and like motivations behind the villains and like what they look like and stuff, it is like reading like a Stephen King version of Batman almost, which is, it's Scott Snyder, who famously wrote American Vampire, and I think King even wrote an issue of that. Like, so I mean, it's coming from that vein. Yeah. But it is horrific stuff, man. And then I read the first issue of Absolute Superman, and it did not hook me as fast as the Batman one did. I'm gonna give it a couple more issues because I really want to read Batman Superman, and so I want to give Superman at least an arc of his own first before I do that. And so I'll continue with Absolute Superman, but I will say it's not hitting me as fun. It's not nearly as fun as the Absolute Batman stuff has been.
Yeah, I mean, I've been meaning to start up Absolute Batman, and I just stopped with the new Supergirl series, which is crazy because only 2 issues have released. But the first one set up a pretty interesting mystery that I expected to like maybe pull through 4 issues, and then the next one they immediately told us what was going on, and I'm like, okay, well that like. The art on that one, I talked about it in the show, it's like really uncanny. I don't like the teeth at all that are being done by Sophie Campbell for this new Supergirl book. And then I'm like, but it's an interesting concept because the whole thing is that, she goes back to, Kara-El goes back to her hometown and Supergirl is there. There's a Supergirl living in her house and her parents know it. And it's like, what is happening? Like, is there dimensional stuff? And no, a girl from Kandor found a way out of Kandor and then got, like, special, like, the hypno glasses, basically, that convinced everyone that she was Kara. And I'm like, all of that was revealed in the next issue? Like, why didn't you, like, elongate that a little bit. Like, I don't know how I felt about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of teeth in these images now that you say it.
Right. There's something. I mean, like, I kind of dug it. Like, I'm like, this is an interesting thing. And this Supergirl is very, like, I want to be known for being Supergirl, where Kara, like, one of the nicer things is that she's a little bit more reserved, right? Especially in, like, the CW series, right? Like, where she's like, I'll do what I have to do, but I don't want to be, like, beloved across the world. So, like, that's sort of what they're basing the actual Kara on. And then the imposter Kara, she is, like, make sure you hashtag Supergirl because you saw me save everybody. Yeah, but the teeth, man, it's just uncanny. And like, just kind of like a hand wave explanation, too. That, like, someone else came from Kandor, or, like, yeah, I knew the Yellow Sun would do this to me. And I'm just like, I mean, I guess we've gotten to that point where, like, you can have, like, the meta commentary about the Superman story. But this just kind of felt like you had a really solid, like, I could see 4 issues out of who is the fake Supergirl. And for it to be, like, almost immediately revealed and not a... Like, imagine if they just told us the second issue with the Red Hulk that it was Thaddeus Ross. Nobody would give a shit about who the Red Hulk is in 2025.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to announce, right? I will check out Absolute Batman. That is it. Now that you're caught up with it, I can sit down, I'll read it and get caught up, and maybe that can become a feature of future episodes of the Say Report, is talking about the newest Absolute Batman. Especially, you said the magic word, which is Bane. I do love me a Bane story.
Arc, I guess I'm on what would be considered Arc 3 now.
Yeah, I believe so, right?
It's a Bane arc, so...
Cool.
Yeah, it's
very cool.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, excellent. So, yeah, that's the magic word. So that'll get me into it. I bought another pair of Airwalk sneakers, and I'm wearing them now. I was at Walmart picking up, like, some cat food and some milk, and I just buzzed by the shoe department, and for $10 was this pair of Airwalk. They're white with orange, like, highlights all around them. They're pretty crazy looking shoes. And I asked Will what, like, because I had my red ones that I'd been wearing, and I'm like, which one should be my home shoes, which should be my away shoes? Because historically, the colorful one is your home outfit, and your away is your whites. And he's like, fuck it, change it up. Wear the white ones when you're recording, wear the white ones when you're out in the world, and be styling. And a lot of people have called me styling, that exact adjective. Like, if you people don't want me to realize that I'm living in a simulation, maybe give people other adjectives to describe how my shoes work. What if that's what the Say Report is? What if the Say Report is my weekly way to report issues to the overlords that are running the simulation of my life so that they can, like, make it better for me?
We're just leaving, like, fucking data echoes around, like...
Exactly. Are you even real, Siege? We have fun. We do have fun. Anything else before we send this one off to Will for the finale?
No, let's see you all next week.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report, where I held the katana the entire recording. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can join us in our Discord. Joining the Discord, you'll see those pictures that Sejohn sent me at the beginning of the episode, right? So there's a little bit of incentive based just on this episode. Just join our Discord. Invitations are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this release is still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. And if you're, not on social media anymore, which would make just all the sense in the world, considering what it has become, even just in the last 2 weeks, let alone the downward trend it was already on prior to that, you can contact us directly. Send an email to thesayreport@gmail.com. We can facilitate you with an invitation to join our Discord, or we can just communicate with you there. And if you are going to communicate with us via email, like modern day Civil War brides and soldiers, just make sure in the subject line, if it's for me, Devon Decker, or for him, Sejohn Sarwick, you put our name so that it can be distributed to the proper Say Reporter. And, your sweet nothings that you wish to whisper to Sejohn, I don't need to know about those. You can keep those secret. And again, we might talk about him on the show, but he'll be the only one to read the correspondence. All of that said, thank you again for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. We appreciate every single listener, whether it's your first or your 453rd episode. And with that, William, please bring us home. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Serwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.